Uppity Unicorn. I am recording just before 6 a.m. I want to talk about self-important Kimmie. I just saw a bit more of her interview thanks to Empress Radio sharing that much on her channel. And I have this to say. I truly believe that Kimmie overestimated her importance to the millimeters. So on the show, Kimmie said that part of the reason she did not show up for Mel, 1 second, please. Kimmie said part of the reason she did not show up for Mel at Stand Up Live is because some of the people who flocked to Mel are unkind to her and Letitia, and that Stormy or Sunny said that there was some bad energy there and she didn't want the energy to come off on her. So Mel politely tries to explain that the negative energy that Sunny was feeling was in respect to what she was on stage front and center speaking about when it comes to how this love triangle, excuse me, this love triangle, I haven't had my coffee yet, this love triangle between Moses, Sunny, and Destiny developed. And then she interrupts and says, well, that would have been us. And this is why I call it self-important Kimmie, because no, Kimmie, it wouldn't have been you. You would have been ignored by a large majority of millimeters. And that's the truth. See, Kimmie, you would not have been on stage. You would not have been a main attraction. You would not have been a main event. You were not on the schedule. You were not on the show. You were not on the docket. Sunny was on stage. Sunny and Moses were telling their story. They were under the spotlights. They were on stage on the couches with Mel and Carlos, part of a show. You, on the other hand, would have been in the audience, much like Mama Van, who's has a contract with the show, and much like Stormy, who also has a contract with the show. And Stormy reported no such abuse, no such negative energy, no such anything, because again, she wasn't the main event. Even though she's clearly one of the stars in the show, one of the main cast members, she reported no such harm. And this is what I mean when I say that this is a self-important kind of, you're overestimating yourself and overestimating your worth when it comes to millimeters. We tend to only discuss you, Kimmie, and as far as your interactions with Melody are concerned. Because God knows the last time we had your back in a situation separate from Mel is when your husband bragged about you rolling over and taking it and saw you suffering through the sexual act while going through chemotherapy and radiation as you standing by him as he stood by you. Now, as a person whose mother has cancer, multiple myeloma, I clearly don't take well to that. And a lot of cancer survivors didn't take well to that. And not only cancer survivors, but family members of cancer survivors and cancer warriors did not take well to that. They did not take well to him saying, oh, well, you just want your hair to blow in the wind, but you got cancer. You ain't got no more hair to blow in the wind. Hell, Marceau didn't take well to that. But you wanted to talk about millimeters like we were talking about your cancer, and millimeters are a certain distinguished group of women who just wouldn't do that. Y'all forget who we are. Y'all talk about us like we are a bunch of backwoods Bessemer hillbillies with no education and no couth. Kimmie, we are doctors. We are lawyers. I personally have graduated from 3 universities. We are mothers. We are nurses. Some of us are bloggers. Some of us are journalists. I have one of my majors was in journalism. Some of us are, well, we are environmentalists. We are tree huggers, dog owners and wives. Some of the bloggers that some of these anti-millimeter bloggers talk about hating men are happily married and have been happily married for 5, 10, 15, 33 years. Some of these are deaconesses and missionaries and ministers and pastors and youth pastors and assistant pastors. If you're really looking at the profile of millimeters, a lot of us are quite like Melody. Some millimeters even have commercials on Nubian TV. They're business owners. They're enterprising women. They own hair companies and cosmetic companies and all kinds of things. They're in a real estate. I mean, so many are in property preservation via Mel's course. And so I'm looking at you guys talk about these millimeters like they're just dogs that attack. And I'm just like, Kimmy made a statement about how she can understand if people disagree with how she talks to Maurice. Like, she does that baby voice, right? She's like, you can disagree with how I speak to him, but when the personal malicious attacks. What was more personal and malicious than you telling Melody in her own home that she's bougie, and that when she told you to check yourself for talking to her in her home like that, you said you don't have to check shit. And when tears poured from her face, you let out a cackle like a witch, like a Disney villain. There's nothing more personal than that. So I'm going to need you not to be a hypocrite. I'm going to need you to practice what you preach and give the respect that you want. Whatever the respect is that you feel like you deserve, you got to give it to get it. There's a reason these people don't like you, especially people like me, who you were the breakout character to. You had about as much support as Melody had in the beginning. Your character and your actions have changed things. And you're talking about, I'm not going to let people charge me up about a 42-minute show, ma'am. I'm all here for people talking about editing. I've been edited. I've done work. I've been in pageants. I've done local movies. I understand editing, but they can't put the words in your mouth. They can't put the disposition on your face. They can't put the nasty in your tone. That's you. Y'all can chop, screw, and edit this video that I'm making right now. You can't force words into my mouth. The most you could do to wrong me with this video is chop it up and put some of my words out of context. Like Wanda did to Here for Hot Tea when she dragged Maurice as a cancer hunter. And I stand completely by that insult, because how dare you be so concerned with sleeping with a person who has cancer and is reeling from it and healing from it and going through chemotherapy and radiation. And how disgusting. I mean, even as a nurse, like, I don't know why you didn't feel like talking about how, like, when people are on chemo, you got to be careful of even using the bathroom after them and what is splashing, because you could get some of the chemotherapy, onto yourself, onto your skin, and cause yourself to get sick. And he was just all up in that chemotherapy secretion and all up in that chemotherapy sweat and radiation, and the way that you were winded and tired. People actually had compassion for that. And you're calling those same people animals who you believe would have attacked you. These are reasonable women. It's just that some of your behavior has been unreasonable. And the thing is, it. Kimmie said something like, I may have had the wrong opinion. You absolutely overstated and you absolutely overstated your opinion. You absolutely put 20 on 10, the same exact way that you say that millimeters do. I mean, just the same as the hypocrisy with Letitia when she was like, yep, he had negative energy there. Yup, yeah. Sunny told us they had negative energy. And I'm just like, nobody was more negative than you in Sunny's face, calling her trifling for the same reasons millimeters were looking upside her head. Not myself included. It was a split audience. Some people were looking upside her head and some people weren't. You were a part of the crowd who were looking upside her head. So, I mean, this is why I don't express interest. This is why, as beautiful as Dustin is, why I didn't catch the interview. And the only way I would have saw the interview is because Empress Radio. I'm subscribed. I've got my bell notifications on and I see what she's putting down. I just would have missed it because you can miss me with that kind of wordsmithery and hypocrisy. You've been dastardly to Mel. You've been absolutely incorrigible to Mel over the seasons. Your lowest point being plotting on Mel and Vanessa, her mother, with Mark Scott, with that basement Billy, bottom dwelling, gutter snipe, charging up people about pictures of sugar mama and little kids she's not related to, and grown men she's not related to, talking about sex tapes with Mama Van that doesn't exist, telling people that they need to go to a neutral site with him so he can post Mel's breast that he's so familiar with, and that he can post what Martell sent to her that he was convicted over sending her in harassment. You did that. And so, no, nobody ever says, hey, Mel, these are not your best friends, best friends, best friends. Who would call you guys best friends? You weren't her, you were barely a friend when the show started. So who would call you best friends at this juncture? No, we say those are not your friends, period. We don't say those aren't your best friends. Y'all don't look nothing like Lauren. Y'all don't look nothing like Brittany. Y'all don't look nothing like Dr. Shanita when y'all are talking back and forth to Mel. We don't say, oh, well, those aren't your best friends, blah, blah, blah. No, you added that word best. We just say those aren't your friends, and we hope you know. And thanks to Mel's exercises, her spiritual exercises with discernment, she can see a fake a mile away. So we don't have to tell Mel shit anymore. The pleasure in your laughter as you brought Mel to tears told on you and who you are. So we see you interacting for a check. And that is what it is. And it's really nothing more and nothing less, because if you cared anything, if you had the empathy a stranger has for another stranger, if you had that for Mel, you would be disgusted with Martell. If you had that for Mel's children, you would be disgusted with Martell. So we've got your number. All the wordsmithery in the world can't conceal what your actual actions were on that show. So you can try to trivialize it to, oh, it's a 42-minute show. Is it though? Because y'all are in court. 42 minutes, but Maurice is harassing content creators in real life, lying on them in real life, trying to set them up to give their personal contact information and bank information in real life. Marceau's getting sued for fraud in real life. Dylan was in Gardens in real life. Stormy's not paying invoices in real life. You're no longer a nurse, and when you missed your annual exam, you ended up with cancer in real life. You want to talk about a 42-minute show? Mel's kids had to sleep on air mattresses because their father, who you think is a great guy, refused to give them their beds in real life. So just like you're not going to let us charge you up about a 42-minute show, we're not about to let you charge us up over what is actually reality. Mel is the victim of a sexual crime in real life, which has been displayed on that reality TV show. So I don't want to hear it. That's gaslighting. You want to talk people out of the reality that they see. People see what is real, and you're telling them it's not. Can't respect it. I'm going to close out by saying all views shared herein are alleged and, in my opinion, for entertainment purposes only. I do have a GoFundMe link to support my mother and her fight against multiple myeloma. As far as the research shows, there is no cure. There's only a way to manage it. So I'm not sure if this is like, there's not a type 4 for this cancer. Type 4 is dead. So there is type 1, 2, and 3. And I do not know at this point if there is remission for this kind of cancer. I was told there are breaks, and that the average person, which my mother is not, has about a 5 to 10 year life sentence, life expectancy after diagnosis. So if you would like to join me in the fight for my mother's life, I welcome you to do that. with the GoFundMe link that will be in every description of every video that I upload from here on out. Thank you. Uppity, and I'm out of here.